Rahman. Okay, inshallah we'll start. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'alni waziran min ahli Haruna akhi washdud bihi azri wa ashriku fi amri. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, so we're going to continue with the raise the supreme sign. So we kind of completed like the first introduction of that, but I think there was a last sentence we wanted to double check and see, discuss a little bit more on that to start with, maybe briefly. And I think Uriah has highlighted that. So it says, all these show that grandeur and sublimity constitute a necessary veil. So there was a little, I think towards the end of our last week's session, we discussed a little bit about the veil and the sign. So maybe we can recap a little bit, because the whole initial introduction was for us the author was preparing us to make sure that how we reason in terms of what we observe and what conclusions do we arrive at. And there was the truth that is out there, and then there's personal opinions and which can deviate from the truth, but then that doesn't change the fact or the matter that the truth is out there. And the author kind of prepared us before we go into the actual introduction of the next in the supreme sign. He said that all the truths of belief in Islam base their matters on the grandeur and sublimity, which are their requirements, deliver themselves from awesome absurdities, the fearsome superstitions, and the tenebrous, which is like dark, ignorance of unbelief that confront them, and take up their place in sound hearts and straight intellects through utmost submission and assent. So it takes a person out of heedlessness, and which is what initially was the author kind of presented the second, the abyss that a person, human being may fall into and go into materialism and not see beyond the material side of things. And then the last sentence was, all these show that grandeur and sublimity constitute a necessary veil. So would you like to talk on that?
Well, yeah, briefly in terms of, so I observe qualities. All these show that grandeur and sublimity constitute a necessary veil. So I think whatever I conclude to be the source of existence of things, when I go beyond the matter itself, so then whatever I conclude to be absolute, then wow, that's just like an amazing source. So like grandeur and sublimity are just mighty highness sort of qualities, like you would give to like a royal king, like your highness. And so that constitute a necessary veil. So as in these qualities are necessary for me to conclude the absolute. The veil is what the author is referring to as these qualities. The universe.
Yeah, so the universe would be a veil, or maybe take the example of a blueberry. That would be a veil, but I would see qualities in that blueberry. And that's how it becomes, I could relate that this is all these qualities are coming from an absolute source. It's not coming from the blueberry itself or the soil or the plant. Right? And then at the same time, it does everything in the universe becomes a sign for me as well. So this is what I understood also. But if you want, maybe somebody
Sure.
has their hand
No,
up.
that's helpful. Thank you. And I see Brother Ali has his hand up. Go ahead, Brother Ali.
This is the point I wanted to discuss as well last week, but I said time is up. For inshallah, in another time we can talk. Now you brought up, I was very pleased with it. If you follow this, OU, and the last one says OU, whose signs are manifest in everything. Now, instead of the people, or the people like me expect that instead of say whose signs are manifest in everything, why don't you say, I manifest here in front of you? And the text says, the highlighted text, the last, not now, yeah, the last one, all these show that grandeur and sublimity constitute a necessary veil. We understand from his grandeur and sublimity, we understand that his power, his qualities are not of this kind of universe. That is why he is the creator. Universe is his product. So if you, for example, think about a plan of a building or a bridge, architect is in the plan. How? With his qualities. Because architect is the designer of the plan. Architect is not a piece of the plan or blueprint. It is the designer of the building. The designer cannot be in the designed plan. So the universe is the product of something or somebody who is the source of existence of the universe, creator of the universe. So he cannot be observed in it. So that is why his grandeur and sublimity, which we use the word absoluteness, constitute a necessary veil. So why is it veil? It is the word veil has two meanings. One of them is to cover up something. The other one is the screen veil. Now, the screen of something, so that, for example, in the movie theaters, you see that the movie is reflected on the screen. So like curtain has two meanings. One is covering something, the other one is something on which something else, or a thing, a material thing, a physical being on which a non-physical being, but this is an analogy, of course, a movie or the camera and the light coming from camera is physical, but example, the non-being thing manifests itself on it, like the plan, blueprint. The architect's knowledge is manifested on the plan, on the paper, and it became a plan like the universe is. So in this case, In this case, the paper and the marks of the ink on it is a veil for the knowledge or existence of the architect. So if anybody wants to know who this architect is, they have to look at the curtain, the paper or the veil or the curtain, the veil. So it demonstrates the reflection of it. It doesn't mean that we cannot know the creator. It doesn't mean that we cannot know the creator at all because there is a veil. It is hidden. No, it is not hidden. That is why I am not happy at all with the translation of ghaib as hidden. Ghaib is not hidden. Maybe the people say hidden from your eyes. I mean, partially okay. There is no other way. I understand that to express it in English. But ghaib something means not within the physical body of this universe, but the universe is a veil for it. This word, veil, of course, is in the previous one, that whose signs are manifest in everything. Now, everything becomes a veil, and the knowledge of the architect reflects its signs of his knowledge on the veil of the paper. This is just a simple analogy. So it is a veil to experience it physically, but intellectually, it is not a veil. Intellectually, it is a vehicle now to tell me which kind of quality of knowledge the architect has. This is called signs, and in the Quran, ayat. Now, the author is playing two functions at the same time here, because it says ayat, signs are manifest in everything. We turn the page, it says the supreme sign. This is at the same time, there is another meaning there. Supreme sign is the language of the Quran as well. The Quran says, when Moses showed his supreme sign to Pharaoh, Pharaoh puzzled, didn't know what to do. Just he started asking for help from his generals or the people in his council, because he didn't know what to do, because ayat al-kubra, the supreme sign, was manifested to his eyes. It means on the paper, architect's knowledge is reflected now, and on the universe, signs of the creator are reflected. And Moses showed the signs of the creator reflected on the page of the universe, and Pharaoh, the one who denied it because he didn't see the God. Do you remember the story in the Quran as it is told? He wanted to see Moses' God by climbing up a tower. It means it is the Quranic teaching are all symbolic, of course, allegorical. So allegory tells us that he wanted to see God in sky physically. Moses said, no, signs of God must be seen or are seen and must be seen on the act, work he manifests. So This change of the perspective puzzled the denier, Pharaoh. So Nursi says, look, we are going to now show the signs to the intellect, if you like, not the physical eye, but the eye of the heart. Yeah, Ainul Qalb. Which is very frequently used expression in Islamic literature. Ainul Qalb sees it, which in other words is basira. Basar means the sight of the eye, basar. But basira means eye of the intellect, eye of the qalb, heart, eye of the heart. Of course, belief is something to do with the function of the heart, function of the intellect. So belief is related not to the eye, but the eye of the intellect, eye of the sign, eye of the heart. So eye of the intellect, eye of the heart, basira, can see the signs and become convinced. That is why the text is about what? Reading the signs by intellect. Looking at the universe eye, but the information which is collected from the universe, and concluding that the architect is here and the quality of the architect is manifested on the page of the paper of the blueprint, then you can understand that this paper cannot be the source of the knowledge manifested on the page of the paper, on the paper. So this analogy makes it with lots of function. One is really intellect needs veil. Even physical seeing of God himself, architect himself, does not help. That's what we have to understand. I give this very common example. I use it always. If a person says, I am the best, for example, singer, that's my classical example. I must have used it before on many occasions, but it is time now to. When you see a man who is singer, can you see that he is a singer? No. You see a man. You don't know whether he is a singer or not. Singer, being singer, is a quality only when the quality manifests, then you can understand that this person is a singer. Otherwise, seeing the person himself doesn't convince you at all that he is a singer, because all the qualities cannot be seen by physical eye. But the qualities can be seen only through the eye of intellect and through the eye of the heart, the feelings. So we have to understand that belief in ghaib is the result of intellectual and, if you like, spiritual activity. So belief is related to intellectual and physical activity. No, intellectual and spiritual activity. That is the introduction to the supreme sign. So he plays three, the author is consciously using them. One is really explaining why universe is a veil. The other one is making an introduction that we are going to read the signs intellectually, The third one is, I am following the path of the Quran. Quran says you have to read the signs with many verses in the Quran. Ayatullah, or there are ayat in these things, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات. It doesn't say God is there. It says ayat, signs are there. He is playing with the words and also making the argument somehow related to physical world, intellectual activity, and also guidance of the Quran together at the same time. He is quite genius, man. Thank you.
Mashallah, thank you so much for this explanation. And so the signs then become a veil. It must be.
And the veils become a sign, I would say.
The veils become a sign. Yeah.
So the veil has two purposes. One is to cover from the material, the physical eye,
Mm-hmm.
and then your spirit, your heart, uncovers the qualities in that particular, from that veil. So the veil then transforms intellectually, or my human side makes it a sign. Like I can read those things.
Mm.
That's, I think, the two aspects, and Brother Ali can correct me when he said the veil plays two roles. One aspect is that physical aspect as covering, as a cover, and the second one is for the human intellect to actually deduce all the different qualities. So it becomes then, that veil now becomes a sign.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, alhamdulillah.
The universe is a veil. Material substance of the universe is veil. Paper is a veil for the architect. Veil, architect's knowledge, and architect's being as well is a veil. So we cannot really know the quality of architecture, the art of architecture, the quality of architecture, we cannot know. Only when we see that his knowledge is manifested on the paper, we know. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to continue, inshallah, with the supreme sign. The observations of a traveler questioning the universe concerning his maker. All right, let's get started on this journey. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. The seven heavens and the earth and all that is in them extol and glorify him. And there is nothing but glorifies him with praise. But you understand not their glorifying. Indeed, he is most forbearing, most forgiving. Quran chapter 17, verse 44. Let me read that again. The seven heavens and the earth and all that is in them extol and glorify him. And there is nothing but it glorifies him with praise. So everything, there's no exception. Everything glorifies him with praise, but you understand not their glorifying. That's interesting. Okay, so you understand not their glorifying. Indeed, he is most forbearing, most forgiving. So let's continue. Since the sublime verse, like many other Quranic verses, maybe I should read the little note. The second station, in addition to explaining the above sublime verse, sets out the proofs, arguments, and meaning of the first station, which has been skipped. Sets out the proofs and arguments. Okay, good. Since the sublime verse, like many other Quranic verses, mentions first the heavens, that brilliant page proclaiming God's unity, gazed on at all times and by all men, with wonder and joy, in its pronouncement of the creator of this cosmos. That brilliant page proclaiming God's unity, gazed on at all times and by all men with wonder and joy, in its pronouncement of the creator of this cosmos. Let us too begin with a mention of the heavens. Sure, you have a question. Go ahead.
So that brilliant page proclaiming God's unity, that brilliant that is referring to the universe or the verse. So, as in the universe, right?
So heavens, basically, so everything between the heavens and the earth, I take that as the whole universe.
Okay, so that brilliant, that is like the existence.
So
whatever.
right now, I think it's just focusing on the heavens part.
Okay.
I mean,
Creation that
our friends, anybody can raise their hand also, and if they have comments, please feel free to do that. Yeah, but I think right now, I think he's starting with the heavens first.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said mentions first the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
There's an order in how the verse is also laying it out.
Mm-hmm.
The seven heavens and the earth. And we can go further, maybe in the verse as well. But let's read maybe a little more, and then we can come back to this. So let's try to think of the heavens for now. So that brilliant page, so the heavens being that brilliant page proclaiming God's unity, gazed on at all times. So every time we can look at the skies, the heavens, by all men with wonder and joy, in its pronouncement of the creator of this cosmos. So it's proclaiming something. The heavens. Let us too begin with a mention of the heavens. Indeed, every voyager who comes to the hospice and the realm of this world. So voyager, it's a traveler, so I would say maybe a guest house, maybe a better suitable word. And the realm of this world opens his eyes and wonders who is the master of this fine, guest house where since I'm a traveler here.
Royal palace.
Okay, a palace, that's fine too, which resembles a most generous banquet, a most ingenious exhibition, a most impressive camp and training ground. So a generous banquet, like everything's for me here as a traveler. Most ingenious exhibition, everything is posed for me to wonder at, to look at. A most impressive camp and training ground. And I'm learning a couple of things here. A most amazing and wondrous place of recreation. A most profound and wise place of instruction. So the traveler asks himself too, when is the author of this great book? Who is the author of this great book? Right? Who is the author of this great book? Who is the monarch of this lofty realm? There first presents itself to him the beautiful face of the heavens, inscribed with the gilt lettering of the stars. The face calls him, saying, "Look at me, I shall guide you to what you seek."
Face of the heaven. The face of the heaven. Anything in creation. So anything in creation saying, "Hey, look at me. I shall guide you to what you seek." Yeah, right.
Their first present. Okay, so yeah, you're right. I would take that. He asked himself too, who is the author of this great book? So the universe could be that. I think you're right also. And everything. Yeah, so everything seems wise, purposeful, I'm learning a few things, instruction. So who is the author of this great book? And who is the monarch of this lofty realm? There first presents itself to him the beautiful face of the heavens, inscribed with the gilt lettering of the stars. That face calls him, saying, "Look at me, and I shall guide you to what you seek." So the traveler looks then and sees a manifestation of dominicality, performing various tasks in the heavens. It holds aloft in the heavens, without any supporting pillar, hundreds of thousands of heavenly bodies, some of which are 1,000 times heavier than the earth, and revolve 70 times faster than a cannonball. So you can imagine the solar system, just all the different stars and planets. How are they just hanging? One has to wonder, like without any support. Hundreds of thousands, some of which are like really heavy, right? Look at the earth, and some of which are 1,000 times heavier than the earth and revolve 70 times faster than a cannonball. It causes them to move in harmony and swiftly without colliding with each other. Perfectly balanced, harmonious. It causes innumerable lamps to burn constantly without the use of any oil. So, for example, a jet and a rocket that you'll have to put fuel into it for it to have the energy to be lifted up, but this is just without any support, and somehow there is a energy and power that is being used, and without any oil or anything to, it's just existing like that. It disposes of these great masses without any disturbance or disorder. So the heavens disposes these great masses without disturbance or disorder. The heavens sets the sun and the moon to work at their respective tasks without those great bodies ever rebelling. So everybody's following. Wherever the sun is taken, it goes along, and wherever the moon is controlled, it also follows. It doesn't complain. No rebelling. It administers within infinite space, the magnitude of which cannot be measured in figures, should they stretch from pole to pole. The magnitude of which cannot be measured in figures, should they stretch from pole to pole. I mean, these are massive bodies. All that exists at the same time. So everything is just working amazingly well. Those heavy masses at the same time, with the same strength, in the same fashion, manner, and mold, without the least deficiency. It reduces to submissive obedience to its laws. So the heavens, whatever we observe, reduces to submissive obedience to the laws that are there, all the aggressive powers inherent in those bodies. Everything is controlled. Fully obedient, like a obedient army, or like obedient employees. It cleanses and lustrates the face of the heavens. So there's some cleaning activities that are happening. Something gets burnt and it's cleaned. Cleanses and lustrates the face of the heavens, removing all the sweepings and refuse or the waste matter of the vast assembly. So all the leftovers or waste is removed as well. So all those extra rocks, or it causes those bodies to maneuver like a disciplined army, and then making the earth revolve. It shows the heavens each night and each year in a different form, like a cinema screen displaying true and imaginative scenes to the audience of creation. So each night I can see, a different form of the skies. There is within this dominical activity a truth consisting of subjugation, administration, revolution, ordering, cleansing, and employment. This truth, with its grandeur and comprehensiveness, bears witness to the necessary existence and unity of the Creator of the heavens. So, this truth, with its grandeur and comprehensiveness, bears witness to the necessary existence and unity of the Creator of the heavens, and testifies to the existence, to that existence being more manifest than that of the heavens. Hence, it was said in the first degree of the first station, there is no God but God, the necessary being, to whose necessary existence in unity the heavens and all they contain testify, through the testimony of the sublimity of the comprehensiveness of the truth of subjugation, administration, revolution, ordering, cleansing, and employment, a truth vast and perfect, and to be observed. Then that wondrous place of gathering, known as space or the atmosphere, begins thunderously to proclaim to that traveler, come as a guest to the world. Then that wondrous place of gathering, known as space or the atmosphere, begins thunderously to proclaim to that traveler, come as a guest to the world. Look at me, or who came as a guest to the world, I would say, right? To the traveler who comes. Look at me, you can discover and find through me the object of your search, the one who sent you here. So this place, this universe tells, or look, the traveler, look at me, you can discover and find through me, the object of your search, the one who sent you here. The traveler looks at the sour but kind face of the atmosphere, and listening to the awesome but joyous thunderclaps, perceives the following. The clouds suspended between the sky and the earth water the garden of the world in the most wise and merciful fashion. The clouds suspended between the sky and the earth, they water the garden of the world in the most wise and merciful fashion. Furnish the inhabitants of the earth with the water of life. Modify the natural heat of life, and hasten to bestow aid wherever it is needed. In addition to fulfilling these and other duties, the vast clouds, capable of filling the heavens, sometimes hide themselves with their parts, retiring to rest, so that not a trace can be seen, just like a well-disciplined army showing and hiding itself in accordance with sudden orders. Then, the very instant the command is given to pour down rain, the clouds gather in 1 hour, or rather in a few minutes. They fill the sky and await further orders from their commander. Next, the traveler looks at the wind in the atmosphere and sees that the air is employed wisely and generously in such numerous tasks that it is as if each of the inanimate atoms of that unconscious air were hearing and noting the orders coming from that monarch of the universe, without neglecting a single one of them. The wind performs them in ordered fashion and through the power of the monarch. Thereby, it gives breath to all beings and conveys to all living things the heat, light, and electricity they need. So thereby the wind gives breath to all beings and conveys to all living things the heat, light, and electricity they need, and transmits sound, as well as aiding in the pollination of plants. The traveler then looks at the rain and sees that within those delicate, glistening sweet drops, sent from a hidden treasury of mercy, there are so many compassionate gifts and functions contained that it is as if mercy itself were assuming shape and flowing forth from the dominical treasury in the form of drops. It is for this reason that rain has been called mercy. Next, the traveler looks at the lightning and listens to the thunder and sees that both of these two are employed in wondrous tasks. Then, taking his eyes off these, he looks to his own intellect and says, "The inanimate, lifeless cloud that resembles carded cotton has, of course, no knowledge of us. When it comes to our aid, it is not because it takes pity on us. It cannot appear and disappear without receiving orders. It cannot appear and disappear without receiving orders. Rather, it acts in accordance with the orders of a most powerful and compassionate commander." So now the intellect is reading all these signs that the inanimate, lifeless cloud that resembles carded cotton has, of course, no knowledge of us. When it comes to our aid, it is not because it takes pity on us. It cannot appear and disappear without receiving orders. Rather, it acts. So those clouds act in accordance with the orders of a most powerful and compassionate commander. First, those clouds disappear without leaving a trace, then suddenly reappear in order to begin their work. By the command and power of a most active and exalted, a most magnificent and splendid monarch, the cloud fills and then empties the atmosphere, inscribing the sky with wisdom and erasing the pattern. The clouds makes of the sky, inscribing the sky, with wisdom and erasing the pattern. Whoever is inscribing the sky with wisdom and erasing the pattern, it makes of the sky a tablet of effacement and affirmation, a depiction of the gathering and the resurrection. By the contriving of a most generous and bountiful, a most munificent and solicitous sustainer, a ruler who regulates and disposes, it mounts the wind, and taking with it treasuries of rain, each as heavy as a mountain. So by the contriving of a most generous and bountiful, so somebody is managing all this, a most munificent and solicitous sustainer, a ruler who regulates and disposes, mounts the wind, and taking with it treasuries of rain, each as heavy as a mountain, hastens to the aid of the needy. So those clouds mounts the wind and taking with it treasuries of rain. So in those clouds, treasuries of rain as heavy as a mountain, and they go hasten to the aid of the needy. It is as if it were weeping over them in pity with its tears, causing the flowers to smile, tempering the heat of the sun, spraying gardens with water, and washing and cleansing the face of the earth. So all those duties have been performed from that cloud once it's employed in a fashion like that, where it causes the flowers to smile, tempering the heat of the sun, spraying gardens with water, and washing and cleansing the face of the earth. So just do a check here if anybody would like to make any comment at this stage, because this is just I think it's a good, observable, and straightforward journey of any human being so far. The only thing maybe I wanted to touch upon was, when the author kind of talks about the inscribing the sky with wisdom and erasing the pattern. It makes of the sky a tablet of effacement and affirmation, a depiction of the gathering and the resurrection. So I feel the author is hinting at a few things here. Like all these signs can be seen as, what they teach us. So whoever is, just like a big canvas of blank canvas, and then you could paint something, so all sorts of clouds and different formations would come, and then all of a sudden there's no cloud at all, so everything gets erased. And that is, to the intellect, that tells us that is, it tells us the tremendous power of whoever is managing all this or showing that display of art. I just wanted to, maybe somebody can comment on how it shows the depiction of the gathering and the resurrection. Would anybody want to comment on that? Brother Ali? Thank you.
I think what I understand from it is that coming together, fulfilling the duty. It means giving the needy whatever they need, and then disappearing. So in this world, by obeying the command, it means they came and disappeared, came and appeared and disappeared. That's why resurrection, gathering and resurrection. Gathering means hashr. Hashr means actually to collect the herd together, all together, and then take them to their stable, whatever the shepherd is going to take them. So all the pieces of molecules, water molecules evaporated. Now they rise up into the sky and make the hashr, which is called cloud. And then they come back again in the form of a rain, And this is just the resurrection of water. Do you see what I mean? The water went up and came back again, was sent again. That is just an analogy, I think. That's what I understood. Go up, let's say the water rises up from its grave here, goes up, and comes back again, a fresh water. I mean, that's what I understood. It's just an analogy.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Alhamdulillah. Would anybody else want to make any comment? I mean, this description of the traveling is amazing, actually. How, looking at the universe from this, this kind of very keen observation, noticing some of the details. This is how I think we should start looking at the universe as well. So I really saw how the author makes us realize everything is so when the way at least the solar system skies, how the planets are managed in a way that there's no fuel or any sort of that is needed, and there's no point of like support that holds them, and they're just floating in air. And then when you come here, you look at the different forms of the clouds. They come together and then they become heavy, and then how obedient they are, how conforming to whoever is arranging all this. Everything is just performing obediently their tasks, whatever they are being asked to do. You want to say something?
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad you drew our attention to this piece, because that was also catchy for me. Tablet of effacement and affirmation, even within the human being, I would say. At any given moment, we are having different kinds of feelings and emotions are imparted onto us.
Yeah, the ability to strike them out, clear them.
Yeah, right.
Learn from them.
Exactly.
And correct it. Yeah.
So just like
good point.
Something new, you jot down, okay, got it, solve the equation, done. So I was also thinking of it along the lines of what you were saying, like that. But then I'm still wondering, what does the author possibly mean by a depiction of the gathering and the resurrection? So it makes of the sky a tablet of effacement and affirmation. I mean, definitely I could see, even like at face value, like you were saying, obvious exploring, somebody's saying like, oh yeah, this is a very dynamic scenery, whatever. It's, constantly changing, definitely. But then I can bring it to my own being as well. But
it shows how easy it is to whoever can manage all this administration, how easy it would be to gather every being, the great gathering.
To gather every being? What do you mean?
Every being could be gathered easily. So whoever can gather all the, let's say, the clouds together, or all the water together with such ease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the tremendousness of the ability, the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, how easy it must be to gather anything. Because we already see the signs in this. This is an analogy to show that, hey, this is a sign of
okay,
in the universe. That's at least how I'm.
That's a good point, though. I mean, what you're saying here about depiction of the gathering is a hand.
So, Brother Ali, please go ahead. This expression is very commonly used by the, again, museum scholars, the tablets of effacement and affirmation, which is in Arabic, lawhul mahw and isbat, as if the description is this: first written and then erased, and then anything is written, like the screen showing the movie reflected on it through the projector. So one square, or whatever you call it, goes, another, is it called square on one classical
Excel or frame?
No. Frame, yes. One frame goes so that another frame is going to be replaced on it. That's what the universe is created in such a fashion that it continues to change, because new frames are to be manifested in order to demonstrate the quality of the creator, how he can continuously renew his absolute qualities, so that the conscious human beings will understand his absolute qualities. The quality is manifested on the screen of the sky. Quality is manifested on the screen of the sky are coming from an absolute source, because it continuously, the clouds are displaying always in a changing fashion through the creation of the wind, so that the screen is manifesting different, always a different view, or if you like, scenery. So it is continues to renew it in order to show that the source is the source is absolute. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Somebody has a comment? No? Okay, no comment. Okay. Okay, so let's continue, unless anybody wants to make any comment.
Depiction
Okay.
of the gathering and the resurrection refers to? Like, what do I do with that? Of the gathering.
So,
The resurrection being a gathering place.
so maybe just base your view on the observation. What does that show me?
Mm-hmm.
At this stage, it just shows the tremendous power, knowledge, art,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows wisdom. It shows like whoever is in charge of, showing me all these different sceneries. Yeah, it goes.
Okay, I
It
see,
goes
but
to. It goes to the tremendousness. The
okay. Perhaps you know how when a movie's projected, it comes frame by frame, but the next frame comes in, but the other one still exists, but they're gone from the view. So the great gathering resurrection is
no, so
pinpointing that
was the
depiction.
effacement the tableau.
Yeah, but the depiction of the gathering and the resurrection, as in whatever has been presented, it's just did not go into non-existence. So there must be a place. There must be an abode to such things. They didn't just vanish out of the blues, go into annihilation or non-existence. So there must. So this depicts also whatever is presenting it is. It's a sign pointing.
I'll take it as a sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Pointing about the gathering and the resurrection.
Cool. Okay, so where are we? That wandering traveler. So the traveler is wandering. That wandering traveler then tells his own intellect, these hundreds of thousands of wise, merciful, and ingenious tasks and acts of generosity and mercy that arise from the veil and outer form of this inanimate, lifeless, unconscious, volatile, unstable, stormy, unsettled, and inconstant air clearly established that this diligent wind, this tireless servant, never acts of itself, but rather in accordance with the orders of a most powerful and knowing, a most wise and generous commander. It is as if each particle were aware of every single task, like a soldier understanding and hearkening to every order of its commander. For it hears and obeys. The soldier hears and obeys every. Okay, so for it hears, just like the soldier, the wind hears and obeys every dominical command that courses the air. So each particle hears and obeys every dominical command that courses through the air. It is as if each particle were aware of every single task, like a soldier understanding and hearkening to every order of its commander. For it hears and obeys every dominical command that courses through the air. It aids all animals to breathe and to live. So the air is used by all the animals to breathe and to live, all plants to pollinate and grow, and cultivates all the matter necessary for their survival. Cultivates all the matter necessary for their survival. It directs and administers the clouds, makes possible the voyaging of sailing ships, and enables sounds to be conveyed, particularly by means of wireless, telephone, telegraph, and radio, as well as numerous other universal functions. So that's an interesting. So many duties of the air that are happening. Aids all animals to breathe and to live, all plants to pollinate and grow, and cultivates all the matter necessary for their survival. So whoever it is directs and administers the clouds, makes possible the voyaging of sailing ships, and enables sounds to be conveyed, particularly by means of wireless, Wi-Fi, telephone, telegraph, whatever, as well as numerous other universal functions. Now, these atoms, each composed of two such simple materials as hydrogen and oxygen, and each resembling the other, exist in hundreds of thousands of different fashions all over the globe. I conclude, therefore, that they are being employed and set to work in the utmost orderliness by a hand of wisdom. So now the traveler is making a conclusion from his observation that by looking at how everything is just operating and working very diligently, very tirelessly, it shows the signs of someone really powerful and knowing who is commanding. And now when he looks at the atoms, each composed of two such simple materials as hydrogen and oxygen, and each resembling the other, and they exist in hundreds of thousands of different fashions all over the globe. So all the material is composed of these atoms. I conclude, therefore, that they are being employed and set to work in the utmost orderliness by a hand of wisdom. As the verse makes clear, and the disposition of the winds and the clouds held in disciplined order between the heavens and the earth. Quran chapter 2, verse 164. And the disposition of the winds and the clouds held in disciplined order between the heavens and the earth. The one who through the disposition of the winds employs them in countless dominical functions, who through the ordering of the clouds uses them in infinite tasks of mercy. The one who through the disposition of the winds employs them in countless dominical functions, who through the ordering of the clouds uses them in infinite tasks of mercy, and who creates the air in this fashion. Such a one can only be the possessor of necessary existence, the one empowered over all things and knowledgeable of all things, the sustainer endowed with glory and generosity. This is the conclusion our traveler now draws. Okay, I'll have another check if anybody wants to highlight anything, make any comment before we move on to the next paragraph. I think it's clear to me. Alhamdulillah. Then he looks at the rain and sees that within it are contained benefits as numerous as the raindrops. He looks at the rain and sees that within it Within the rain are contained benefits as numerous as the raindrops, and dominical manifestations as multiple as the particles of rain, and instances of wisdom as plentiful as its atoms. Those sweet, delicate, and blessed drops are moreover created in so beautiful and ordered a fashion, that particularly the rain, sent in the summertime, is dispatched and caused to fall with such balance and regularity that not even stormy winds that cause large objects to collide can destroy its equilibrium and order. The drops do not collide with each other or merge in such fashion as to become harmful masses of water. Water, composed of two simple elements like hydrogen and oxygen. Two simple elements like hydrogen and oxygen is employed in hundreds of thousands of otherwise purposeful tasks and arts, particularly in animate beings. Although it is itself inanimate and unconscious, water is itself inanimate and unconscious, or the hydrogen and oxygen part elements. Rain, which is then the very embodiment of divine mercy, can only be manufactured in the unseen treasury of mercy of one most compassionate and merciful, and on its descent expounds in physical form. The verse, and he it is who sends down rain after men have despaired, and thus spreads out his mercy. Quran chapter 42, verse 28. And he it is who sends down rain after men have despaired, and thus spreads out his mercy. The traveler next listens to the thunder and watches the lightning. The traveler next listens to the thunder and watches the lightning. He understands that these two wondrous events in the atmosphere are like a material demonstration of the verse, the thunder glorifies his praise. Quran chapter 13, verse 13. The thunder glorifies his praise. The brilliance of his lightning almost robs them of their sight. The brilliance of his lightning, the one who sends the thunder, his lightning almost robs them of their sight. Quran chapter 24, verse 43. This is interesting. The brilliance of his lightning robs them of their sight. Almost robs them of their sight. They also announce the coming of rain and thus give glad tidings to the needy. Yeah, so those two verses, as the in material demonstration, the thunder glorifies his praise. So that thunder is commanded, ordered, and it in its roar, it is actually a praise being made to the one who has made it roar, made it light up, or have that, and the brilliance of his lightning It's the brilliance of his lightning. So it catches your attention, and then you can see the power behind it, who can be the originator of that. Okay, so they all announce the coming of rain. So they announce the coming of rain and thus give glad tidings to the needy. Like when the thunder roars, and then you hear after a few seconds, the rain starts coming in. So it's like a pre-warning. It gives glad tidings to the needy. They announce the coming of rain and thus gives glad tidings to the needy. The needy. Yes, this sudden utterance of a miraculous sound by the atmosphere, the filling of the dark sky with the flash and fire of lightning, the setting alight of the clouds that resemble mountains of cotton or pipes bursting with water and snow, the setting alight of the clouds that resemble mountains of cotton or pipes bursting with water and snow. So they burst with water and snow. These and similar phenomena are like a blow struck on the head of the negligent man, whose gaze is directed down at the earth. They tell him, "Lift up your head. Look at the miraculous deeds of the most active and powerful being who wishes to make himself known. In the same way that you are not left to your own devices, so too these phenomena and events have a master and a purpose." These phenomena and events have a master and a purpose. In the same way that you are not left to your own devices, so too these phenomena and events have a master and a purpose. So we are not all orphans. We have a master and a purpose. Each of them is caused to fulfill a particular task, and each is employed by a most wise disposer. The wandering traveler hears then the lofty and manifest testimony to the truth that is composed of the disposition of the winds. The wandering traveler hears then the lofty and manifest testimony to the truth that is composed of the disposition of the winds, the descent of the rains, and the administration of the events of the atmosphere, and says, "I believe in God." That which was stated in the second degree of the first station expresses the observations of the traveler concerning the atmosphere. There is no God but God, the necessary being, to whose necessary existence in unity the atmosphere and all it contains testifies. The atmosphere and all it contains testifies through the testimony of the sublimity of the comprehensiveness of the truth of subjugation, disposal, causing to descend, and regulation, a truth vast and perfect, and to be observed. Okay, another time check if anybody wants to review anything or want to make any comment to this journey. All right, so we can continue with the next phase. Next, the globe addresses that thoughtful traveler, now growing accustomed to his reflective journey. So the traveler is now growing accustomed to his reflective journey. Why are you wandering through the heavens, through space and the sky? Come, I will make known to you what you are seeking. Look at the functions that I perform and read my pages. So the globe addresses that thoughtful traveler by saying, why are you wandering through the heavens, through space and the sky? So come down on earth. I will make known to you what you are seeking. Look at the functions that I perform and read my pages. He looks and sees that the globe, like an ecstatic Mevlevi dervish with its twofold motion, is tracing out around the field of the supreme gathering, a circle that determines the succession of days, years, and seasons. He looks and sees that the globe, like an ecstatic Mevlevi dervish with its twofold motion, so the rotation of the globe is tracing out and it's rotating, and then it goes around a particular axis. So there are two folds of motions that are happening. Is tracing around the field of the supreme gathering, a circle that determines the succession of days, years, and seasons. A circle that determines the succession of days, years, and seasons. It is a most magnificent dominical ship, loaded with the hundreds of thousands of different forms of food and equipment needed for all animate beings, floating with the utmost equilibrium in the ocean of space and circling the sun. Brother Ali, please take it away.
I think this expression, the globe is traveling and making twofold motions, it tracing around, it tracing out around the field of the supreme gathering. That is very interesting. I don't know the real name of the machine. This harvesting machine collects the wheat when they are ready to be reaped or to be taken away, to be taken, so when they are dry. So what the machine does, separates the hay from the seed, and then leaves the seed, well, how is it called? Just a minute. On a thresher. All right, thank you very much. I didn't know this word. So he separates the hay from the seed. He collects the hay and binds it and then drops it on the floor, but takes the seed and keeps it to be used. While it is moving, it takes the new ones, thresher, gathers the new ones and separates it from the hay and keeps the seed. So this is like the word that what we are doing here, we are doing certain actions. These actions are continuously recorded and continuously recording until we die. And all the hay, the material side of our actions, are left here in the world. They are not worth, they are not the purpose of harvesting. So they are left here in the world, but the seeds are taken. While we are living in this world, the earth is also traveling on the field, if you like, and my actions are left behind. The hay of my actions are left behind, and then good ones, the seed ones, are protected, preserved. The earth goes around the sun, and also travels. It looks like the supreme gather, the place, the field of the supreme gathering, as far as I am concerned, is now completed. So when I am gathered there, what I will find after the destruction of the hay, because they are no good, they are not the purpose. Whatever the thresher has collected of me, which is good, is preserved, and I will be rewarded for them. All my life, whatever the hay is left behind, if I am not doing according to the purpose of my life expected of me to fulfill this purpose, then they will worth nothing while I am taken to the field of the supreme gathering. I will be left only with the ones which are good in my hand. So we have to be careful. Nothing is coming on top of each other. They are all, I don't know how to say, spread in the shield of my record. In the shield of my record. In the descriptions of the Quran, it just says, oh my God, the person who has nothing left in the form of seeds. Oh my God, this book, this record has left nothing forgotten or ignored. Everything is recorded. Hay is recorded and thrown away, and the seeds are kept, but I have no seed there. So I have nothing to claim out of my life on earth.
Brotherly, you're muted, and I think
We lost you when you were saying that the hay is recorded, but there's no seed.
They will be very sorry that all the life they left behind in the world went into nothing, meaningless. So the Quran says this. Excuse me. Okay.
oh, Brother Ali, I need you. Okay, let's pause here for a moment.
Yeah.
Do anybody has any comment while Brother Ali comes back? This was good.
Just
Right.
to move quickly, I didn't get this last analogy he was making. Did anyone understand, or can one explain, clarify what this thresher and then the depositing something and nothing left?
Yeah, that's what I needed clarification. Suhail, can you please go ahead?
So the Earth circling around the sun is, in a sense, circling the field. It's one large field that it's encircling around the sun, as he points out in the text. That field, as man traverses in his life, he's also really traversing the field of this life, because the earth is moving around the sun. And every moment that passes is like those the yield of the crop, so to speak, in that the material action is the husk, and that's left here when one moment passes to the next, or inevitably when one dies and leaves this existence. But it's the seed, or the meaningful aspect, what one makes of that action that they take with them. Just like when somebody is harvesting, they leave the husk, its outer shell, and they take the seed. That's the analogy. And so those seeds in another existence are what is planted in that field that's encircled by the earth.
Now they will grow into paradise, every seed. Inshallah.
Thank you. What is the what is this verse? This book has recorded everything in it, but they are so they see that everything is recorded. So the everything has been put in a way that the things are recorded, but they don't have anything to show for what they did. Is that correct, or was there something missing in that?
But what I understood, they don't have any seed to grow into the Shajarei Tuba, the tree of Tuba, which represents paradise. So lack of paradise means hell. They will be left with nothing from God. Can you imagine if God, the creator of the universe, doesn't provide anything for me? Where can I get my needs? So hell represents this, a person with who has no seed with him to take to the other world, the new creation. But in the new creation, every seed will become a tree. That is called the tree of Tuba. Tree of Tuba represents paradise.
So perhaps I missed a little few points here. So see, the globe of Earth is rotating and is going around the sun, and it traces a field in that view. And this is basically a time and space kind of events that are happening in our lives. We don't, if we realize that, yeah, these are, the Earth is going around, and it has to do with time and space for us. And whatever we do, whatever our actions, whatever our living, whatever our conclusions are accounted for. And this analogy says that this time space that you are engaging with, there's a meaning to it, there is a purpose to it. So it has to make sure that it counts. Right. And then I lost the part of the preservation, and I understand, okay, the seeds are collected and the material aspect, the husk, is basically removed. So where does this preservation in this analogy kind of fit in?
In the language of this, the supreme gathering refers to the hereafter. But this word is a field, but continuously changing field, so that we continuously write on it through our actions or our status, our relationship with God, whatever you call it. So continuously writing it. You know, if you like, lines are not on top of each other, because of the earth is continuously making it physically and demonstrating that whatever you do in this world is written down, not on top of each other, but it's a huge record now. At the end becomes the record. But it is an analogy only. It means the world is not static, our life is not static, our actions are not static, continuously manifested, demonstrated. That's what I understood. Maybe right, maybe wrong. I have no idea.
Alhamdulillah, that clarifies it. Thank you so much, everybody who commented and asked the question. So I think we're at time right now, inshallah. So we'll continue next week from the he then looks at the pages paragraph, inshallah. If there's any final comment, please.
No, pages of earth. Correct?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Pages of the
So
earth.
I will mark that. Okay, thank you very much.
Inshallah, yeah. Unless anybody has
Inshallah.
any other comment to make.
Next.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم